We're happy to have this particular group. Marcus Moncur.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Terry.
Oh, no
it's good
problem.
to be here.
Well, welcome. I hope to develop a great relationship with you.
The great pleasure of introducing or reintroducing Dave Nelson from Kern County Fire is with us today.
Yep. Thanks for having me, guys.
Dave, always good to see you. You're coming in at a really good time because there's something happening next Tuesday. Happens to be an election. It is a primary, but here in Kern County, it's going to be an important primary.
Absolutely.
A lot of things on it for some of the local school districts, but more importantly, there's some people that are going to be up for election or re-election on the county board, and that has a great influence over exactly what happens with your association, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. This is an important race, and there's 3 districts running for election, re-election, and the reason that's important for our association is, we're looking for those candidates that are public safety minded, that can champion our cause and to be a good voice and steward and leader in their community and their districts, and putting the public and their safety first and foremost.
It's been difficult last couple of years, hasn't it? The problem with the budget and personnel challenges, because the city was able to get their 1 cent sales tax through and the county was not. But those kind of challenges really wreak havoc on exactly what's going on with law enforcement in the Kern County area, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. I mean, when you look at the sheriff's office, we're not much different than those out there listening that own a business, run a business, work in a business. Our organization, the sheriff does a great job. He runs his organization. It's like a business, and our commodity is deputies, right? That we provide service to the community, and that takes money and budgets and support from not only the community but our board that sits up there that makes decisions on how our finances in the county are spent and where they come from.
And, Dave, you and I last time I think we talked, we touched the subject of land values in Kern County and how that affects the budgets for law enforcement. The trickle-down effect really is that the budget for the county could be affected, and if the county budget is affected, it certainly affects what your organization is able to accomplish.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's the property values did take a hit when the oil valuations returned. The county's done a great job, though, of diversifying. There has been some impacts, but there's been some recoveries as well. An item to note is that in last year's budget presentation, they touted the highest tax year on history in the county of Kern. So there's been slow growth, but we're increasing. The budget versus 10 years ago was $1.6 billion, and today we're hitting the $3 billion mark. So there has been growth in revenue as well as expenses. Now,
that growth in revenue with oil going down, what's making up the difference?
It's just a diversification in where the county is applying their efforts. So they, in realizing that there could be potentially an issue, investing in wind and solar programs, the green energy, diversifying, bringing in new industry, such as our distribution centers that have come in recently.
Right.
They've diversified on that part, which has offset some of the loss that we've had in the oil valuation.
Bringing in more jobs and having more money coming into the community certainly is a positive thing, and increasing the number of people that are working is always a good thing. So, Marcus, you've been there for a month. Have you learned anything yet? What's your background? How is it that you came into being the president?
Well, I served on our board as a director probably about 12 years ago for a few years. Had to step aside for some family and some job assignment issues that were making it difficult for me to participate. And it just came a time where, with a little more tenure and experience and understanding and the importance, like it was, 12 years ago for me to run and try to make a difference, have a voice and educate the public in the struggles that we face on a day-to-day basis, doing the job that we do, and just to foster good relationships with the community, because our job is one that's unique in that people, the the career is a noble career, but most people don't really understand or know what we do and what goes on.
And I think that's one of the goals of having you in once a week, is to talk a little bit about what's going on in the community, some of the struggles that are going on, and also some of the positive things happening.
Absolutely.
Because there are some good things happening in Kern County. I mean, you can just talk to your neighbors, and I think people are feeling a little bit better. Homelessness is still a huge issue, but that's not going to go away tomorrow. But when I talk to Sheriff Youngblood and some of the supervisors, they seem to be really positive about what is going on, how they are trying to now path forward with something that makes a lot of sense, based on the struggles and the challenges that we have. With this election coming up, is the Kern Law Enforcement Association making any endorsements for the candidates? You've got District 1, 3, and 5, I believe, that are up for up this time as let's see, that would be Mick Gleason is of course leaving. He's in 1. In number 3, that would be David Couch and Emilio. They're in 4.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Mr. Couch is running for re-election in 4,
right.
And Miss Letitia Perez is rerunning for 5. So yes, we went through a pretty in-depth vetting process. We thought that was important. Our board did, and our membership, that we picked someone that would be a public safety champion, that would be public safety strong for us, to try to advocate the things that we need. And we've completed that process and reached out to our candidates, but we're endorsing and supporting David Couch in his race for re-election in District 4.
Okay.
And we're also likewise supporting and endorsing Letitia Perez for her re-election in District 5.
Was there anything in particular that you can point to and say this is their past history, and they have supported us in the past, and we felt that was important, or was there something else that you looked at?
We considered a lot of things, but for the most part, you pointed out that Letitia Perez has been a pretty strong voice and a strong advocate for us, and David Couch has been a supporter of us, and so we're looking to them to help when it comes to public safety and first responder issues, to help us and support us, and to reach out in their sphere of influence and with their peers that operate on the board to help us out.
Sure. Dave, what are some of the challenges right now for the first responders? I mean, we've had the conversation before, and certainly you guys seem to be moving forward to solve some of those problems. But what are the problems that still lie out there?
Well, I mean, your biggest one is going to be staffing, and
right.
If you can't be marketable with agencies that are taking your employees, you get stuck in this perpetual process. So staffing is a huge issue for us. For us, related to the fire department, when you go back to this fire fund deficit, here we are 4 years down the road. I guess you could say Mr. Turnipseed himself got up and said something last year about, hey, it's 3 years now. Why we haven't addressed the budget for the
right.
fire department?
Right.
They simply don't fund the budget or fund the departments to do the service that they need to do to provide that protection to the community. So we have to increase our staffing numbers. We have to be able to cover the additional call volume. We have to be able to cover the increase in population that's taken place over the last few years. And both agencies are impacted significantly by the homeless population.
Yeah, they are huge.
A lot of times when you look at what's taking place, the money that's allocated from the state goes to mental health or social services, and we aren't taking into consideration the first points of contact. It's either a sheriff's deputy that has a first point of contact in these situations, or it's the fire department. So when you consider, a significant increase in the percentage of your call volume, that's wheels turning, fuel burning, man hours on the ground, and that's time that we can't provide service to other areas.
Yeah.
So I think addressing staffing, addressing pay to retain and recruit viable employees is one of our top priorities.
How the fire department and I believe the sheriffs are working up in Sacramento to try and change the minds of the people up there. It affects people who are on the front line. It always seems like we're not going to decrease the number of supervisors. We're not going to decrease the amount of people that are in the administration, but it certainly hurts the people on the front line because they're the first ones to go when budgets get crunched. Now, and I was saying during the break, it really seems like some of the issues between management and labor need to be solved and solved quickly.
It's something we've been working on for the last year before it became an issue, publicly. And we started addressing the permitting process and the delays in that. And now without their development, we don't get the benefit of their production. So us partnering, hopefully at some point with the board, we're able to champion that message, because quite honestly, who has a more powerful platform in Sacramento today?
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
labor. It's not our board of supervisors.
Right.
It's labor, the labor organizations. And with our mutual agreement to work together on this between us and the Sheriff's Association, it gives us a much stronger platform to address those issues.
Well, and you have put together the Keeping California platform, and there's been advertising. I know everybody's seen them, and you've got a pretty good representation of both sides that are involved in that, don't you? I know that I've seen the DA in it, and the sheriff, Don Youngblood, are in those advertisements, and is really talking about the stabilization of the really the big industries here in Kern County.
Yeah, and I think the driving message at this point is getting a clear direction from Sacramento on exactly what it is they want us to do. Currently we have a shotgun approach. Getting clear direction from Sacramento on what we can do to meet their specifications and not drag it out any longer than what it is.
They listen to you guys. That's pretty obvious. You guys have a good relationship. Your relationships are building really nicely with the people that are there, and I can understand why you are endorsing the people that you're endorsing, is because you've definitely got those relationships built up, and these people are to the point where maybe we can go to the next step.
2 out of the 3, I'll say. Supervisor Perez has been great. Supervisor Couch, I love working with him. He's probably one of the most honest individuals I've come across, because I know he's getting ready to make me mad when he says, "You're probably not going to like this, but..."
Yeah, but he's
and then he lays
honest,
it out there.
Yeah.
And it's easy to work in those situations when you have somebody that's just being completely honest. Then you know what the true problem is.
Right.
I think some folks may have lost sight of the county's needs and in pursuit of their next position. And we see that oftentimes in politics, where you start working on what the next issues are outside of the area to posture for those positions. And I think we may have reached that point in some situations.
Sure.
And we need to get folks elected that are going to maintain focus on Kern County.
Well, and Marcus, that's one of the things we want to talk about on this program when you guys come in once a week is keep our focus on things that are making sure that we have public safety and the first responders at the forefront of the county supervisor's brains, because what you guys do is essential for the life of everybody who's listening right now. We all want to depend on that phone call we make for those services to be there. And if the relationships don't foster and improve, then we all worry about that.
Absolutely. And the men and women that do this job, they start their journey with a overwhelming desire to help people. That's usually what's the driving force to get, that type of person in the door for a sheriff's deputy, because we're on the front lines every day, just like fire, dealing with emergencies, tragedies. We see the people in their worst. We see people down on their luck, victimized, and it takes a toll not only on, that staunch Samaritan or soldier that we have, and we put a star on their chest to go out and do that for the public, and we're glad to do that. If we don't do something, it's sad to contemplate that we could be the next Detroit.